As a leader in the luxury fashion industry, Coach is committed to crafting exceptional products while also forging positive change within the industry which champions sustainability. Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Sustainability and Head of Coachtopia, Joon Silverstein, joins us in Baku as we explore how Coach is leveraging practices and tailoring its initiatives to align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Hi Joon, it's great to meet you here in Baku. Welcome. As we all know, Coach is a household name in fashion, but can you tell us about what sets it apart in terms of sustainability?
Thank you, Hava. It's an honor to be here today and to have the opportunity to discuss with you the investments Coach and Coachtopia are making to build a better future for fashion. We're deeply committed to improving the sustainability of our brand and operations, and we've been making many investments to do so, including our commitment as part of our parent company, Tapestry, to be net zero in value chain greenhouse gas emissions by no later than 2050. But what really sets us apart is that in the midst of all this hard work, we've come to realize a hard truth, that these improvements, no matter how critical, are not sufficient. And that to truly transform fashion's impact, we have to tackle the fundamental challenge of fashion, which is that it is a linear and therefore unsustainable system predicated on the creation of waste. The constant creation of new materials accounts for 38% of the global fashion industry's greenhouse gas emissions, yet 85% of those materials eventually end up incinerated or sent to landfill. Clearly, this is an unsustainable system. So rather than working to simply improve our linear fashion system, we have to reinvent it with a more circular model in mind. And at Coach, we're working to do so by leveraging our own unique heritage of leather craftsmanship through two key initiatives. The first is Coach Reloved, which is an ecosystem of programs, including customer trade-in, that create circular pathways for Coach products, including pre-loved, damaged, and even unrepairable products, allowing us to restore, reimagine, and remake these products for second life. The second initiative is a much bolder one, Coachtopia. We launched Coachtopia as a Coach sub-brand in 2023, and it was created not to improve our linear fashion system, but to pioneer a circular one.
How exactly has Coach's craft heritage played into your understanding of circularity?
At Coach, we've always made products that are crafted to last, and we continue to invest in the care and repair of our products so that our consumers can use and love our products for as long as they can. Coach Reloved was our first step in harnessing the expertise of our leather craftspeople to create circular pathways for our products. Since launch, we have given a second life to more than 50,000 products and have rolled out the program to 8 countries, and we're continuing to expand across North America, Europe, and Asia. But Coach Reloved has also been a crucial source of learning for us. In giving a second life to so many products, we've learned valuable lessons about the aspects of traditional luxury leather craftsmanship. For example, the practice of sandwiching handles or embedding the back of metal hardware that makes circularity at scale really challenging because they make the repair and remaking of our products very labor intensive. This is why we launched Coachtopia, so that we could design our products from the very beginning for circularity at scale.
The Coachtopia brand really is a trailblazer in the fashion space. Can you tell us more about how it grew from an idea to what it is today?
We launched Coachtopia as an internal startup, so we could think outside our existing practices and the linear system those practices are a part of, and drive truly radical change. We gave the brand a razor-sharp focus. Our mission is not to create a more sustainable brand, but to leverage the freedom of a sub-brand to pioneer a more circular system. Today, circularity is often a poorly used and misunderstood marketing buzzword. And so it was really important that we defined what we meant by circularity, to be clear with both ourselves and with our consumers, and to hold ourselves accountable for making real progress. Our first made circular principle is to minimize the use and creation of virgin raw materials, which accounts for 38% of fashion's greenhouse gases. And we do this by using materials that already exist. And in Coachtopia, this means using waste, and in particular, the waste Coach generates as a brand. Second, we're designing for multiple lives. In most of fashion, we design for one life, how one consumer will use it, and then we don't think about what happens afterwards. But in Coachtopia, we know these products need to come back to us and that we need to be able to give them a second life at scale. So we're designing from the very beginning for circularity, meaning products that are easier to disassemble, unmake, and remake. And lastly, we're creating and scaling circular pathways. We have committed to take back every Coachtopia product, regardless of condition or age.
What challenges has Coachtopia faced in implementing its sustainability initiatives, and how have you addressed them?
I think the biggest challenge in this space is the fear of making imperfect change. Today, brands are so afraid of being called out, and consumers are so quick to criticize that it can be daunting to call attention to problems without having the complete solutions. But in sustainability, we don't have any complete solutions yet. But of course, if we're too afraid to take imperfect steps forward, then nothing will change. In Coachtopia, we're addressing this through several ways: prioritizing progress over perfection, being transparent about our journey, and inviting our consumers to join us in the hard but exciting work of driving change. We began incubating Coachtopia 2 years before we launched. And since those earliest days, we have involved a growing and global beta community of Gen Z consumers, inspiring individuals, designers, journalists, entrepreneurs, climate activists, to work with us on the process of building Coachtopia, to share their perspectives on what they want to see change, to pressure test our communication and commitments, to collaborate with us on products, to co-create and participate in our campaigns and content. By involving our consumers and engaging in these really authentic relationships, we've been able to harness new perspectives in tackling some of fashion's most enduring problems, but also involve them as collaborators and co-conspirators rather than critics. We've also created the Coachtopia Catalyst Fund, which in partnership with 1% for the Planet, we donate 1% of our revenues to fund and catalyze emerging nonprofit environmental organizations led by our Gen Z community members. These include some really inspiring organizations, including Black Girl Environmentalist, Earth Guardians, and Maya's Ideas for the Planet. And lastly, we have partnered with a consultancy, WSP, to create a unique environmental impact calculator to measure the carbon footprint, carbon reduction, and waste diversion of each of our products. And we share that data on our website, on our product detail pages, but also on a unique digital product passport embedded in each product that we created with our partner, Eon. This allows us to track our progress, to share it with our consumers, and while we are taking imperfect steps forward, to continue to hold ourselves accountable to making real and meaningful progress.
Looking to the future, what is Coachtopia's vision for their role in combating problems discussed at COP?
We know that the climate crisis requires urgent action in the fashion industry, and so we see Coachtopia's role as an agitator and change maker. We also know that to drive circularity forward, it's important not only to change how we make, but how we think and consume as a culture. And that's why it's been so important for us to involve our community in being part of the change, so that we can help to engage, to educate, to inspire, to fund and catalyze new ways of thinking and tackling the climate crisis. And very importantly, we have to demonstrate that we can do this at scale. Our goal is not to create change at the margins, but to make circularity the core of future business models at Coach and in the wider fashion industry. That's why we've created Coachtopia and Coach in a continual feedback loop, so that as we develop scalable, circular innovations and processes in Coachtopia, we can roll them out in the broader Coach brand, and hopefully the wider industry at large, as we've recently done with the launch of our Alter Ego collection, which takes the mindset of designing out waste at the point of creation and embeds it within our core Coach production processes. Overall, I think the role of Coachtopia is to also be a beacon to other companies, to show what can be done if you overcome the fear of imperfection, to take bolder action, supported by greater transparency. We want Coachtopia to be both an inspiration and a challenge to the wider industry that shows that a better future for fashion is possible.